So tonight before you is our final critical needs plan. The plan right now describes $350 million in capital improvements identified by staff over the last year and reviewed by our Capital Improvement Plan Review Committee. So this plan will serve as the guiding document for a bond program should the board approve the ballot question that is on tonight's agenda. So just to start, before we dive right in, to provide a little bit of context. So why do we continue to turn to our taxpayers for help? And really the question comes down to is the state doesn't provide enough funding to educate our students and to maintain our facilities. So we continue, and we've been on about an 8-year cycle of asking our taxpayers to pitch in for bond measures, et cetera. So just want to highlight that. It's not only Boulder Valley School District, it is every school district in the state of Colorado that is faced with these same decisions. Where students learn matters. We have a responsibility to provide students and staff with learning environments that are safe, functional, and comfortable, and to maintain the taxpayer funded facilities that create those environments. So at this time, we've identified $350 million in critical facility needs that need to be addressed in the next 4 years. This work falls into 4 main categories. The first being maintaining our aging buildings. Second, building additional capacity for enrollment growth in Erie. Expanding our career and technical education options to better prepare our graduates for post-secondary success. And improving ADA access on our playgrounds. So the first major category that we'll be investing in is maintaining our aging buildings. So as a reminder, we own 61 facilities that total over 4.8 million square feet. These buildings range from 1-year-old, that's Halcyon, to 140 years old, and that's Whittier Elementary School, with more than half being over 40 years old. Most of our buildings still have decades of life in them. That's because of the investments we continue to make in our buildings, but our systems and our equipment, like roofs and boilers, wear out, need to be replaced. As a reminder, in 2021, we worked with a third-party vendor, which was Gordian, to visit and assess 4.8 million square feet of facility space and over 800 acres on our sites. So the team evaluated major architectural, mechanical, electrical, and site infrastructure system components, estimating their in-kind replacement values. The assessment identified over $670 million of needs over a 10-year period. So more than half of the critical needs plan would be directed to major maintenance such as roofing, pavement, updating life safety systems that are needed within the 2 years to keep our facilities safe, operational, code compliant. Since different building systems wear out at different rates, right, we have some components that need to be replaced at different times. So when we go in, when we think about the 2014 bond, we replaced portions of the roofs on certain schools, and we didn't replace others because the others were not at their end of their life cycle. And I think that's an important note. Mechanical systems, when we say we go in and we upgrade our mechanical systems, we don't upgrade every single component. We upgrade those components that need to be replaced at the time the bond was passed and the assessment was completed, if that makes sense. So included in this critical needs package is highlighted here are priorities 1 and 2. Those are items that need to be done in the first 2 years and cannot be deferred without impacts at some point or additional risks that we're going to impact the learning environment. I think that's key. That is what keeps me up at night, is what happened at Monarch High School last year. At one point, we had to vacate the school because the boiler went out and we had a glycol leak, if everyone remembers that.
As a parent, at 2 points.
You're right. And both times were glycol leaks, and both times that was aging equipment because of an aging boiler. That's what we're trying to avoid. So delaying this critical work will allow conditions to deteriorate while costs escalate. As equipment and systems age, the risk of major failures would significantly disrupt a school day. That also increases. So addressing these needs now will reduce costly emergency repairs in the future and will avoid disruptive impacts to the learning environment. Again, here's just some examples. You've seen these before. We've got building envelope issues. There's a lot of our buildings with masonry need to be tuck pointed, resealed, recocked. We have a significant amount of site paving issues, synthetic turf fields that need to be replaced, ADA issues that need to be resolved within our sites. And then the last two pictures of significant mechanical equipment that needs to be replaced, electrical equipment, life safety systems, et cetera. You'll see that throughout the critical needs list. Another priority and included in the critical needs plan is the replacement of New Vista High School. So the building right now has aged to the point where the cost to repair and renovate is significant enough. It really makes more fiscal sense to replace the building rather than continue to invest in it. So a building assessment was conducted in 2019, showed that the cost to repair and renovate the building to address all the identified deficiencies was more than 75% of the cost of a new building. In January of 21, the board supported the recommendation of the New Vista Working Group to build a new building on the same site. The design of that has begun, and if approved, if the bond is approved, we would begin construction in 2023. And I know board member Sweeney Moran, you asked me for a completion date. I'm not going to provide that tonight. It's going to be dependent on us getting a contractor on board, seeing what the market is. But we are committed to starting that project in 23 and then reporting soon thereafter after we have people on board. I do think it's important to talk about the advantages of a new building. A new building we construct to last at least 70 years. Maintenance costs are significantly reduced with the new building. Increased in energy efficiency compared to the existing building would be significantly increased. And then I think the most important thing is think about the learning environment and what they're learning in today. Learning environment will suit the needs of the students today, not what that was in 1950 or 52. So real quick, we're going to let you hear, we're going to show a video and let you hear from Alex Robertson, who's a New Vista teacher now. Alex also attended New Vista when he was a student. And then Eric Ironside, who is a community member in the New Vista Working Group.
You know what they say about a square peg in a round hole? We're trying to create a pretty incredible non-traditional educational program in a pretty traditional building. Lots of separate classrooms, long, dark hallways, a building that was built in the 1950s when education looked very different from what it does here at New Vista. And the heating system is 70 years old and requires constant tinkering. The single pane windows are not helping. Leaks in the roof are problematic. Frequently during a rainstorm, we'll see buckets just posted all over the building collecting water.
We considered a whole bunch of options. I mean, we considered rebuilding the school, we considered fixing up what we had, and everything in between. There's just so much wrong with this old building, and that there's so much needs as far as, you know, the remediation and just the way that the foundation is subsiding and all of that kind of stuff, that the best thing to do for the students and financially was to build a new building. I mean, there just was no way that you could renovate this building and have it make sense going out, you know, 5, 10, 15 years. I mean, it was a waste of money to try to fix what we have here and have it make any sort of sense on a return on investment.
In addition to these major maintenance projects, there are also projects to expand access to our playgrounds and continue to remove the amount of hazardous materials that we have in our buildings. So as you can see from this photo, the intent is to remove the engineered wood fiber, the wood chips at some of our schools and replace it with a rubberized surface where children of all abilities can play. Although we are talking about facilities tonight and we continue to talk about facilities, let's remember the reason we continue to invest in our aging buildings. So as a reminder, our staff and students will benefit from, and never more important than the last 2 years, was our improved indoor air quality. I think the investments we made through the 2014 bond set us up to bring in enough fresh air to combat the COVID virus as we were learning in our classrooms. The reduced risk of disruption of the school day from equipment failures, increased safety, I want to talk about this a second. We made significant improvements and made a great headway in the 2014 bond when we put in our secure vestibules. We put intrusion detection systems. We compartmentalized our buildings. In this bond, we're talking about life safety systems, fire alarm systems, fire suppression systems, making sure that our intercom systems, our public address systems are upgraded. Never more important than during emergency that you depend on those types of systems. So we'll be investing a significant amount, making sure that those systems are updated. And then I think Dan Ryan says it best. It sends a message, and the message is that our students matter, and our students deserve this. The second major category where we'll be investing our money is in our enrollment. So new school, as you know, is needed within the next 4 to 5 years to address enrollment growth in Erie. Right now, we are at capacity at PK5 at the Meadowlark School, and we're projected to be at 50% over capacity, so at 150% within the next 5 years. So we also, and that's just from Meadowlark's attendance area, and then we've got a 1,400 home single-family development that's coming in, known as Parkdale. It's between Arapahoe and Baseline. Homes will go up for sale in October. That will generate enough students for the need for a new school. So right now we are going to hear from Principal Caldwell, who is the Meadowlark School principal, regarding the growth in Meadowlark's attendance area.
Oh, we continue to just have extensive growth. Literally every week we get new families because of the new homes, and it's one of the more affordable areas in Boulder County and beautiful homes. So it's very enticing for people to come here.
We don't want to wait until all schools are overcrowded and learning is impacted. I think that's the key here. So we can always combat this with a large number of portables, but it's not the conducive learning environment that we've all strived for. So it is clear, very, very clear, that permanent capacity is needed in the area long term. The third major category we'll be investing in is career and technical education. So earlier this year, community leaders gathered to discuss how to improve Colorado's K-12 education system. Our community expects public education to provide opportunities that allow every child to succeed. Employers want education to align with our workforce needs. We've recognized, Dr. Anderson and staff have recognized, that we must continue to do more to meet this challenge. I love this photo because none of our spaces in our buildings look like this. When I think about some of our buildings that were built in 1882, like Whittier or Boulder High, built in the 1930s, education's changed, but the educational environment has not changed. I'm not sure we should all be proud of that. But we do know that the future of work will continue to evolve. And according to a report authored by the Institute for the Future, 85% of the jobs that exist in 2030 haven't even been thought of today. I think that's an amazing stat. So in a rapidly changing world, our students need learning environments that go beyond the traditional classroom environment, and that's something that we have not provided. So we recently introduced the Grad Plus framework, which will provide the extra credentials that graduates need for the changing dynamics of the world in post-secondary education and work. Grad Plus will provide that connection between traditional academics and career and technical education, helping students make the most of high school and gain direct connections to careers that will serve them well throughout their lives. Currently, we are not meeting the needs of our students, the community, and the workforce because of inadequate CTE opportunities. Each year, we have more students interested in these courses than we are able to serve, and that's due to a lack of space and a lack of programming. So to expand these opportunities so more students can experience CTE, the Critical Needs Plan includes renovations at K-8s, middle schools, and high schools, as well as the Boulder Technical Education Center, to create learning environments that let students get hands-on experience in state-of-the-art spaces by creating industry-mimicking spaces for careers that are high demand and high growth. BVSD will be poised to build intentional pathways in areas such as cybersecurity, biomedical science, creative media production, computer science, engineering, healthcare, culinary arts, and more. So the next step will be to ensure these new learning environments meet the needs of our students and our community. So we will engage in a collaborative process that includes local employers, school leaders and faculty, students and parents, and community members. The process will be informed by existing and future input from community or from students and families regarding career pathways, discussions with local industry partners about collaborative programming, and ideas from district leaders, principals, and faculty about the feasibility and the appropriateness for where to locate various programs. There will be opportunities for communities to participate in the conversation as well. From this collaborative process, we will determine what programs need to be offered and where it makes the most sense for them to be located. Some pathway programs can feasibly be implemented at some or all of our high schools, while other programs need to be located at Boulder Tech just due to their large space requirements, intensive equipment, etc. So when projects move into the design phase, school design advisory teams will work with the architects to guide what the renovations will look like at each school. So all of the capital improvements that we've discussed tonight will protect taxpayer investments and make a significant positive impact to the learning environments of our students today and far into the future. We continue to believe in the value of listening to community voices to guide our work. This spring, as you know, we had a 23-member capital improvement plan review committee composed of teachers, parents, and community members. They met with staff to review our identified needs and provide their perspectives and feedback. Extremely valuable as you're looking at this plan tonight. If we are able to move forward, a stakeholder committee will provide oversight of the program. That's our Citizens Bond Oversight Committee. And then we will move into our design advisory teams that work with the architects, work with the school community to make sure we're meeting the intent of the master plan. So here is the final detailed list of the critical needs. I'm going to walk through these. So $160 million will go to facility improvements and completing priorities items 1 and 2. So that's major maintenance and facility improvements. $36 million plus the proceeds from the 2014 bond will go to construct a new school for New Vista on the same site. $8.4 million will go to removing hazardous materials in our buildings. $40.9 million will go to constructing a new school to address enrollment growth in Erie. $22 million will be to expand CTE opportunities at our secondary schools, that's K-8s, middles, and high schools. $21.4 million will go to renovate Boulder Tech Center. $845,000 will be to construct a culinary teaching center for career and technical education. $6.8 million to improve ADA accessibility on some of our playgrounds, not all. $44.5 million for inflation, and then $8.5 million will be reserved for the entire program. That totals to $350 million. Another way to look how the money will be spent, 54% will go to major maintenance and facility improvements. Almost 14% will go towards constructing a new school in Erie, 12% to New Vista, 15% expanding career and technical education, and 5% to address ADA accessibility on our playgrounds and removing asbestos materials. I do want to point out the $350 million tax increase would be approximately $983 a month for a home valued at $600,000. If your home is valued at $1.2 million, your increase would be approximately $20 a month. For a business, it is $80 per month for a business for each $1 million of non-residential property value. Just want to leave you with a couple closing thoughts. The critical needs plan we are bringing to you tonight is both responsible and aspirational. Major maintenance and facility improvements allow us to continue to provide safe, comfortable learning environments. We will reduce the presence of hazardous materials in our buildings, make it easier for all of our kids to play and exercise on our playgrounds. This work is also intended to extend the useful life of our buildings. The proposed renovations in career and technical education aspire to build a stronger bridge between education and the worlds of work and college so that our graduates are fully prepared when they leave Boulder Valley School District.